A slow-moving Gulf low-pressure system will be possible in the days to come following some Saharan dust. Hi, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Justice, mapping out extreme heat, severe weather potential across the southeast, and the potential for another Gulf low to form, which could turn tropical. Let's dive right in here and talk about what's going on, because in the weather world, we've got a lot of hazards. In fact, a developing additional flood threat for parts of Texas. It's unbelievable what's happening there. And then we turn our attention to some developing severe weather threats this week across the Carolinas. And yes, we do have a lot to watch in the Gulf. There's some dry air working in over the next couple of days, but beyond that, we're going to have to look out for what could be a developing Gulf low going into this upcoming weekend and into the following week. Much to track right here. So let's dive right into it, folks. If you're new to this channel, please consider letting me know where you're watching from. That helps me in the comment section. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. I will keep you posted on all things severe weather. It is a passion of mine, whether it be on TV, whether it be on the web here, and I can connect with you and let you know what's going on and help answer your questions. But I got to know where you live. Help me out there. All right, so the national chart here from the Weather Prediction Center shows developing threats here and another high risk for severe weather with regard to flooding in parts of Texas. This area has had a once in a 500-year flood, claimed as many lives as 70. Just tragic, heartbreaking news coming out of Texas, and my prayers are with everybody impacted with that, including the first responders that are continuing to act there. Another day of flooding possible with the ground saturated there. Elsewhere across the southeast, it is dry today. Tomorrow, we do have an enhanced chance for some storms as things get cooking again, as it's very, very hot in the southeast. Let's start with that threat for severe weather, because going into tomorrow, parts of the Carolinas up through North Carolina highlighted for a severe weather risk. Same story for Wednesday. It's going to be in the upper 90s. So the hot weather combined with the humidity is going to lead to some strong storms that could bring some strong gusty winds. That would be the main threat. Got a brand new computer model here that times out that threat. And then we'll get to the tropical, including that possible Gulf low that's possibly developing this weekend. As we go toward tomorrow, that's when I think we'll have thunderstorms. Today, I can't rule one out. I mean, it is hot out. Very, very hot. In fact, I'll show you those in just a moment. But tomorrow does have more coverage as I pause it here in the afternoon, 4, 5, 6 o'clock. A lot more coverage here across the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida. Just that heat and humidity doing its thing. Some of those storms could linger into the later evening hours, but for the most part, that 3 to 7 time frame looks to be key. Developing sea breeze here across the Carolinas and Georgia. That's going to push inland and create other outflow boundaries that are going to be quite fierce. So I do expect more in the way of storms and quite widespread activity going into Wednesday and possibly even into Thursday. There's outlooks all the way throughout this week for that chance. Look a little bit closer into the Carolinas at our today. I have a chance for some thunderstorms. There'll be a downpour or two out there, but that chance 20% or less. Going deeper into the forecast Tuesday afternoon, developing sea breeze here. That's where we'll see the storm start first. Then some other outflow boundaries will get it. But I think it's Wednesday that brings more coverage. It'll work its way inland. Starts as a sea breeze, but those boundaries continue to move on through with other areas. Look at the temperatures across the southeast. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that it is hot out. Those heat indices climbing to above 100 degrees in many communities today and tomorrow. Look at that, 101 Anderson, 99 in Greenville, 105 in Charleston, 99 in Myrtle Beach, Panama City, 100 in Orlando. This is dangerous type heat, and it continues into Tuesday as well. Look at this, possibly even a little bit hotter on Tuesday. Some 105s popping up here across the eastern Carolinas, Georgia, into Florida. And then going into Wednesday, here we go again. Looks like that heat cranking right back up. Got a couple of 107s in here. So Wednesday looks to be the peak, but it also does coincide with higher storm chances. So those days will be met with higher storm chances. Where do we go from here, though? How about the anomaly? Red means above normal temperatures. Blue means below normal temperatures. Looks like we're staying cooking here across the Carolinas, Georgia. Maybe some cooler air at times if you get yourself some thunderstorms. But overall, there's a lot more red showing up here in the extended forecast than not. Looks like toward the 20th, though, this European model showing more rain across the southeast, which could bring down temperatures. And as we look at that, we'll have to look out because this outlook goes through the 20th. We're above normal temperatures, but that's also when the European model wants to show us starting to flip around. And could it have some tropical characteristics? Let's flip on over to my hurricanes page. You'll see the latest above the screen there with the remnants of Chantal. Chantal has done a number on parts of the Carolinas. It has produced, a month's worth of rain in about 24 hours. There was a narrow swath. Western Carolinas had nothing, but the eastern parts of Carolinas, Chapel Hill, Durham, lots of flooding east of Charlotte. Now, watching the Gulf right now, there's going to be a plume of Saharan dust. You can see it here working in right there. You see that? That's some drier air before the satellite does a funky little flare there. But look at all that dry air. That is going to be in place really for the next 5 days. So the next week looks to be pretty calm in the tropics. But this weekend into next week, the models have been sniffing out this. Do you see this blue here across the Gulf? That is a developing low pressure. That has been a pattern that we've been monitoring here in the tropics for a couple of days now. And at this point, it's like snow forecasting in the winter. You look for pattern recognition. Do the models show me something I need to stay dialed in on, or are they trending one way or the other? And at this point, we're just seeing trends. Which way is it going? And for you folks in Florida, the Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, we need to stay dialed in on what could form this upcoming weekend. Now, we're all fine through Thursday, Friday, but look what happens Saturday night, Sunday into next week. There's still high pressure, but look at this. Beginning late next week, you've got some lower pressure here across the Gulf. I get it. This is a long ways out, but 250 hours out, we're getting into our wheelhouse of the model's trends, 10 days out. Is it a trend that's worse, or is it a trend that's getting better? And for 2 days now, the models have shown a Gulf low trying to develop here. Nothing in the models shows anything jumping out at being too significant, but a slow developing Gulf threat is possible late next week. We've got some time. We've got a week to enjoy. There's nothing wrong with cruising, with vacationing. I'm not canceling any kind of plans, even if this does develop. But what I want to show you here is if this does develop as a Gulf low, the counterclockwise flow, that would mean more rain, more possible additional humidity for Georgia, Florida, and the Carolinas. That would just enhance rain chances late next week. So we got 10 days to watch this. And again, Europeans pretty keen on it happening. Let's look at the other computer models here. Let's look a little closer. This would be all fine. Red means high pressure. We're fine. Dry air is in place this week. Next week is when we start to look toward the end of the week. In that time frame of Thursday, Friday, notice here the red's going away and the blue starting to develop. That's lower pressure and lower pressure here. And it looks like here in that Thursday night, Friday time frame, we could have a developing low pressure system here in the Gulf. And given the conditions, which I'll show you here, that area is an area that is hot for development. This is the ocean heat content as of today, basically takes into the atmosphere above us and the water, and is that fuel for possible storms? And yes, it is. So that's something that we would need to watch in the days to come is, does that develop? Let's check the GFS model. Does it develop it? Well, let's go into this week. We know there's nothing. Next week, there's pattern recognition. Both computer models here indicating Wednesday, Thursday's time frame, a developing lower pressure. That doesn't mean a tropical storm. That doesn't mean anything big and bad, but it does mean that we need to stay dialed in on what this could be as it develops a lower pressure. That's all that you really need this time of the year. And as we look toward late next week, that GFS model also has it. So watching that, it's that time of the year where that would not surprise me at all. For kicks, let's look at the Canadian model and see if it identifies anything. This is the full run from last night. It actually has a lower pressure, same time frame into next week, but off the southeast coast. This will be off the coast of the Carolinas. It wants to develop a little lower pressure. It does not have anything in the Gulf as of that run. Let's go back one more, see if it's got a trend here. Old Canadian model. Let's go back. That full run is not in yet. Let's go back to yesterday's into next week. Yep, it's keen on more of a Atlantic side than a Gulf side. So there you go. Both models are highlighting that it's a potential. Both models are showing, hey, we need to stay dialed in on this. And at this point, folks, we're fine. any kind of vacations you have this week going into the early parts of next week are fine. It would be late next week that it would even begin developing. So plenty of time to track it. My goal here on this channel, on TV, wherever you watch me from, is to prepare you, not to scare you. I'm not going to hype anything up, but I'm going to be transparent in my forecasting. I'm going to let you know what I see when you see it, because I know that you're responsible. And hey, you could find that information out elsewhere, and I want to be able to responsibly tell it to you. So please trust your sources when it comes to this kind of thing, because one model showing a blow up of a hurricane 300 hours out is not doing anybody any favors. If I see that in a lot of the models and see a trend in that, oh boy, I'm going to show you. But please know that going into hurricane season, especially the heart of hurricane season here, my goal is to be transparent with you and to keep you posted along the way. And if you appreciate that no-nonsense approach to forecasting, please consider liking this video. Let me know in the comments section where you're watching from. I do read the comments and try to respond to as many as I can, and give this page a follow wherever you're watching from. So to recap, intense heat this week. We're approaching 100s in many days, many hours, and that is going to bubble up severe weather threats going throughout this week as well, especially Wednesday, Thursday across the southeast. And then we're going into kind of a hot and stormy pattern going into the weekend. It's early to mid next week that the models are saying, hey, watch the Gulf. The Gulf could have something developing here. And of course, I'll stay dialed in on it and keep you posted along the way. Have a great day, everybody.